All right, and welcome everybody. This is Sherman Ray, and this is Godstream News. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast, and looks like the phone's ringing already, off the hook already. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. This is Godstream News. We really weren't not going to get the show on the road today, but we decided we were going to do it right now because there's so much pressing information that's going on right now. So excuse us for being so impromptu about everything, but we really wanted to get this show on the road. There's some interesting developments that have been going on in the last 24 hours, and we just could not wait to get this on for you. There's a story out of Iran. 1 million Muslims have accepted Christ in Iran, as tens of thousands of mosques in the Islamic country have closed, according to reports on the ground and multiple ministries in the region. This is a story by Crosswalk and one of our affiliates, and they said in February, Mohammed, I can't pronounce the last name, it's Dublabi, a senior cleric in Iran, revealed that 50,000 of the nation's 75,000 mosques have closed because of substantial drop in attendance. And this is an amazing development, folks, where you've got a country that is strictly that abides by strict Muslim edicts and laws, that 1 million Muslims have changed and said that we're tired of it. As the story goes on, it basically says that the former Muslims, made their decision after living under oppressive rulership where there's rampant addiction to drugs, poverty, and they said if this is what Islam is all about, they want no more of it. And that's an amazing thing. So praise God that we're seeing that happen. And another story out of Reuters. Many of you know that there's fighting in the Middle East, and there's been fighting forever. This story is out of Reuters. Negotiations in Cairo to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and a hostage deal are still pressing ahead. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said, adding that the discussions will continue on the working group level for the next few days to iron out specific issues. Speaking to reporters in a virtual briefing, Kirby pushed back on suggestions that the talks had broken down and said, on the contrary, they are being constructive. And once again, as we were looking at this story earlier, we saw that what was happening is that Israel had bombed Hezbollah sites, rocket sites, that were poised to launch thousands upon thousands of missiles into Israel, and even and they destroyed them. And even with all of those missile sites being destroyed, they are still pushing ahead with peace talks. So we're going to keep our eyes on that story. There's another story that came out of Christianity Today, and we were looking at how parents can lead their kids to love creation. This is a very interesting story. We thought that this kind of maybe be a little lightheaded. It says, you want to raise nature-loving kids who care for the planet? Well, there's a story. About just an hour ago, the person was hiking with their son through fields and wildflowers near Crest Butte, Colorado, surrounding an aspen trees and sprawling lake. The hike felt more like walking down memory lane. So what this article is basically trying to get to is, if you want to create loving kids who love creation, get them out in the forest. That's true. I think that most parents, especially if kids live in the city, you don't want to leave them in the city all the time. You want to get them out in the forest so that they begin to love God's creation. I mean, God has put this country and these lands that we live in, not just so that they can see them in a book, but that people can actually enjoy them face to face. So we keep talking about this, is that we want to stop and smell the roses. Amen. For those of you that are just watching the broadcast now, I'm your host, Sherman Ray, and this is Godstream News. We want to welcome you. We're going to be broadcasting these shows at least on a weekly basis, and as more time permits, we'll be doing it probably on a daily basis. We'd love to be able to get some of these articles out here because there's a lot of things that are happening, and especially, and that's the reason why we're bringing this show to you today, is because there's so much going on that we wanted to get this show out on the road and get it working. So keep an eye on us, and you can actually view the show on YouTube. You can also watch it on Godstream. So on godstream.org and just /news, and you can actually be able to go and see the broadcast itself. And we're also going to have this updated and uploaded to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts. So be looking for it. So it's Godstream News. Amen. This story is from the Jerusalem Post. The IDF strikes terrorist operations room in the West Bank. Artillery fire reported in Lebanon. So U.S. officials say Hezbollah U.S. military official says Hezbollah attack lowers risk of regional war, and Hamas rejects new ceasefire conditions. Now, this is a very interesting story that we're going to begin to look at even more and more, is how much in the last couple of hours, in the last 24 hours, Israel has hit positions in the Gaza area that were poised to shoot rockets into Israel. And so we're going to be looking at this more and more and more as time goes by. And so we'll be giving you an update on this. So this story is going to continue to be updated as time goes by. There's a story out of California where California Democrats are proposing legislation. You've got to hear this, folks. They're proposing legislation that would help illegal immigrants secure first-time home loans. Yeah, I said it, and I was surprised that it even came out of my mouth. So many of you know over the last 3 years, the Biden-Harris administration have let into our country over 10 million illegal immigrants into our country, and putting the strain on municipalities, upon states. Well, California Democrats are pushing it even further. They're set to push a bill through the state Senate this week to help immigrants who entered the U.S. illegally secure first-time home buying loans. And I almost choked on this when I said it. The bill introduced by Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula, he's a Democrat out of Fresno, would grant some undocumented immigrants eligibility to apply to the state's Dream for All Home Loan program that awards first-time home buyers up to 20% in down payment assistance of no more than $150,000 through a lottery system. This is incredible, folks. Now, how many of you know that Americans themselves who are born here or those who became naturalized citizens can't even afford a home loan, and now they're the Democrats in California, in a cash-strapped state, are making it are proposing a bill that would make money available for illegal aliens, people who aren't even supposed to be in this country. And this is crazy. And many people who have thought that things had not gotten crazy enough are now apoplectic. So you're going to see a lot of pushback on this. But unfortunately, what's happening in California is you have a trifecta, what they call a trifecta, in the legislature in California, which means that the governor's mansion and both houses of Congress are controlled by Democrats. And when you have that, it is virtually impossible for you to stop something from going through. Even as you as a private citizen would want to have that happen, unless you do something, I don't know what you would do to actually stop this, but you cannot, it's virtually impossible to stop Democrats as they're trying to push forward this kind of legislature. And this is, I think, this once again brings to mind the importance of your vote and why you should vote for people who are going to be righteous, people who are going to be level-headed, and people who just have common sense. So it makes absolutely no sense at all for people who are not supposed to be here to not only get free assistance through Medicare, Medicaid, housing, and now they're going to give them down payments for homes that they shouldn't even be occupying. This has gotten crazy, folks. Gotten crazy. Wow. There's another story. This one is out of the Times of Israel, and we're back in the Middle East. The cabinet ministers warned Ben-Gvir endangering Israel. I want to apologize there. Endangering Israel with reckless Temple Mount moves. Prime Minister insists status quo at flagship site remains unchanged after Ben-Gvir, or GVIR, says he supports building a synagogue atop it. We're talking on the Temple Mount. Coalition opposition members call for him to be fired. Now, I want to continue to read on a little bit on this story. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, sorry to destroy your name, sparked an uproar on Monday morning after he again declared that Jewish worshippers have the same rights as Muslim worshippers on the Temple Mount, and agreed that he would establish a synagogue atop the flagship site if he could. Now, this is amazing, folks. It's an amazing story because many of you know about end-time prophecy. End-time prophecy says that there will be a temple built upon the Temple Mount, and that in order for certain things to happen at the end-time prophecy, that there necessarily has to be a temple on the Temple Mount. But over the last 40, 50 years, you've had a mosque on the Temple Mount, the Dome of the Rock. And not only that, but Muslims have basically occupied that territory, saying that Jews will not be on the Temple Mount, even though historically that has been the site of Solomon's Temple 1 and 2, and it has been the place where the temple has normally been. But Muslims have said, no, you won't have that there. That you will not have a synagogue there. So this is amazing. This is an amazing story. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. Could this be, because many of you also know that they've already got the red heifers. They've already been planning the sacrifices. They've been getting together all the implements and stuff. So could this be another step in that direction? Amazing things that are going on. For those of you that might just be joining us right now, I'm Sherman Ray, and this is Godstream News. We're coming to you in a special broadcast, and this broadcast is not what we'll be doing, folks. We really wanted to not do to rush the show on, but we had to because there's so many things going on right now, and we cannot wait to get the show on. So we're coming on right now, just getting up, and we want to hope that you will give us some grace because we've been trying to hold off putting the show on, but so much has been going on in the last 24 hours that we could not wait any longer. So we decided we were going to get the show on. Reuters, as we were saying, this next story is out of Reuters. It is a story out of Beirut. And the headline was, and it's an exclusive: Israeli demands for troops in Gaza are blocking the truce deal, sources say. Once again, this is Doha, Beirut. This story was August 22nd, so it's been a couple days ago. Disagreements over Israel's future military presence in Gaza and over Palestinian prisoner releases are obstructing a ceasefire and hostage deal, according to 10 sources familiar with the round of U.S.-mediated talks that concluded last week. The sources, who included 2 Hamas officials, 3 Western diplomats, told Reuters the disagreement stemmed from demands Israel had introduced since Hamas accepted a version of the ceasefire proposal unveiled by U.S. President Joe Biden in May. So, and we know that over the last, it's been months now, that there's been a war in the Gaza Strip area. And Israel has been clearing out that whole Gaza Strip area of Hamas fighters. And there have been calls for a ceasefire and for the fighting to end, and for there to be a 2-state solution to this. Now, unfortunately, Hamas, the ruling party in Gaza, does not want a 2-state solution. They don't want Israel in Israel at all. They don't want the Israelis in Israel. And yet, you still have people saying in America that there should be a 2-state solution. And even the Israelis are saying, well, this cannot be, because you will always have hostile people in Gaza under the form of Hezbollah, Hamas, and all of these Muslim factions that are there. So Israel is saying that we want to have a military presence there, that you can still live in Gaza, that the people, the folks, the quote-unquote Palestinians, can live in Gaza, but we will have a military presence to keep the peace, because they don't want the same thing happening again, where Hamas has been digging tunnels under hospitals, under schools, and creating this web of tunnels underneath this ground, so that one day that they can again come up and attack Israel. And so it sounds to me like the folks in Gaza are saying, well, we don't know if we want this. We don't know if we want to. We don't know if we want anybody looking over our shoulder all the time, keeping the quote-unquote peace. Very interesting set of circumstances that is going up here also. There's a story. This is the AP. According to the Associated Press, there's a judge in Texas, and he's ordering a pause on the Biden program that offers legal status to spouses of U.S. citizens. Now, this story is very interesting also. This is out of McAllen, Texas. A federal judge in Texas on Monday paused a Biden administration policy that would give spouses of U.S. citizens legal status without having to first leave the country, dealing at least a temporary setback to one of the biggest presidential actions to ease a path of citizenship in years. The administrative stay, issued by U.S. District Judge J. Campbell Barker, comes just days after 16 states, led by Republican attorneys generals, challenged the program that could benefit an estimated, get this, 500,000 immigrants in the country, plus about 50,000 of their children. The states accused the administration of bypassing Congress for blatant political purposes. Now, we know what's going on here, folks. There have been a lot of people coming into the country, and the aim of Democrats is to legalize 10 million plus illegals that have come into this country, knowing that what's going to happen is that these folks will probably vote Democrat, and that in order to keep power, Democrats have been trying to let as many illegal immigrants into this country as they can. And this is a ploy by the Biden administration to legalize, give legal status to spouses of these illegal immigrants who got married. So many of the folks who came here, they got married. They got married to American citizens, and now they want to fast track these folks into getting married. They want to fast track them into getting legal citizenship. What isn't that an amazing? It's coincidental too. Just a couple of months before the election, the 2024 presidential election, you've got the Biden administration trying to legalize the status of 500,000 people. And it's not going to stop there. It's like there's an old saying that says, "Don't allow the camel to get his nose under the tent," because once you get the nose under the tent, then all of a sudden the rest of them will come. And that's what they're trying to do right now. It's all for political purposes. But 16 states attorneys general pushed back and were able to get a stay on this just blatant move by the Democrat Party to try to do an end run. They need to go through Congress in order to make this happen. And right now, Congress is saying absolutely not. Congress is in control of the purse, and they're not going to allow this. So, man, it's just amazing. Just a couple more articles here, folks. There are some things that are late breaking that we really wanted to make sure that you understood and that you got in, because once again, so many things are moving so quickly right now, and we wanted to make sure we got this show on. This story is out of Breitbart, and President Trump, he honors the Afghan troops as ABC, CBS, NBC's morning shows ignore the anniversary of the debacle in Afghanistan. There's an article that shows President Donald Trump paying his respects to the 13 U.S. service members who were killed 3 years ago during President Joe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, while the morning shows on the major networks ignored the anniversary. And so 3 years ago, the Biden administration pulled out of Afghanistan amidst calls by military out of council saying, do not do it this way. Do not allow this vacuum to occur in Afghanistan. And against all good counsel, the Biden administration left Afghanistan, leaving behind, tens of thousands of people who supported the war effort that the U.S. was in the midst of, leaving literally billions of dollars worth of military hardware, but most importantly, 13 service members were killed, 170 Afghans, and left over 150 people wounded. Instead of even briefly acknowledging this painful day for American families and what became the symbol of the Biden-Harris administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan, the major networks ABC, CBS, NBC completely ignored it on their flagship morning shows. And to repeat, not a word from ABC's Good Morning America, CBS's CBS Mornings, and NBC's Today said one thing about this. But President Donald Trump actually went and laid a wreath and commemorated it. And that's I mean, I think that says a lot. It really does. It says a lot. It really does. We want to close out this broadcast by talking about an article that we saw on Fox News, and it talked about the debate that's going to be scheduled for President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. And Trump and Harris, their campaigns clash over debate rules. And what has happened, there's a debate that is supposed to occur between President Donald Trump and Kamala Harris September 10th. And the debate rules were agreed upon. Excuse me. They were agreed upon by the two campaigns. And they believe that everybody felt that these were, although they were not ideal for the Trump administration, they went forward with these debates. And now the Harris campaign is coming back saying, well, we want to change the rules. We want to do some other things that we think are going to be more advantageous. So this story is from Fox News. It says the Donald Trump and Kamala Harris campaigns traded barbs Monday over debate rules Monday with the former accusing the latter of playing games as Harris' team seeks to make microphones live throughout the event. After Trump suggested in a Truth Social post that he might skip the ABC debate on September 10th in Philadelphia, spokesman Jason Miller said that the Harris campaign was trying to change the setup of the debate that was already laid out. They said enough of the games. In a statement by the Trump spokesman Jason Miller, we accept the ABC debate under the exact same terms as the CNN debate. And many of you saw that CNN debate where President Trump in 90 minutes dismantled Joe Biden. And what is happening right now is the Harris campaign is doing everything they can to try to get out of this debate, folks. This is pretty obvious that they're trying to get out of it. And what people are saying is for the Trump administration to not fall for don't take the bait, do not allow the Harris administration to get out of this, because if they do, it is going to make you look really, really bad. So don't fall for the bait on this. Go on with the debate. Is whatever she wants to do, you just go ahead. Just go on with it, because they want to make sure. So, folks, I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. Once again, I want you to please have some grace. We really wanted to get the broadcast on. We believe that some of the things that we were talking about today needed to be said today before it got to the point where these stories just got by you. And lastly, before we leave, I want to give you just kind of a personal thing, and encourage you to do something. Many people believe that their friends, their coworkers, are that they know what the issues are. They know what the two campaigns, the Biden administration, the Harris Walz campaign and the Trump Vance campaigns, what they're doing, and they think that and you take it for granted that your friends actually know what politically is going on, and that they know what the stories are. Guys, don't believe this at all. I spoke with somebody today, somebody who's very opinionated about life, and I started questioning him about, and I really started the question about who they believe was the most important, or some of the most important people in history. And this person answered with the name Kanye West, that they believe that Kanye West should be president, and or they believe that some other actor might become president, and they didn't know anything. Folks, they don't know. They really don't know. When they talk about low information voters, that is the vast majority of Americans, and I say that in all humility and all sensitivity, and not trying to denigrate anybody. What I'm trying to ask you to do is to inform your friends, inform your family, your coworkers about the issues. Do it in kindness and in love, and let them know that, guess what, folks, that this election that we're going to go through in just a few months probably is the most important one of our lifetime, and that if they allow the Democrat Party to get into office, that we're going to be in a world of hurt. And say it with all love and all humility. Don't come up to them arrogantly like you know it all, but let them know what the issues are and what's at stake. And as we continue to inform you as our listeners on Godstream News, that they will, and invite them to even listen to the broadcast, because they really do need this. Okay, everybody really, really needs this. Well, folks, we thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast today. This has been Sherman Ray for Godstream News. We will see you again probably sooner than later. It won't be a week, folks, so keep an eye out. Let everybody know about it. You can even get updated on this by subscribing to our channel on YouTube, and also you can get a hold of this broadcast on Godstream.org. That's Godstream.org/news. This has been Sherman Ray for Godstream News. We will see you again soon. Bye-bye.